Ready, and action! Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time again. Part 2 of lecture number 6 here at Sisseton Wahpeton College with your brilliant professor, Victor Singing Eagle. In English 210, Dakota Studies 210, Native American Literature. And now, without any further ado, your host, the man himself, Professor Victor Singing Eagle. Yay! Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have much time. I got to hurry up and get this stuff started. Now, our last part, we were talking about Crow visiting all the different animal peoples. And it leads nicely into what I want to share from Daniel Heath Justice's book, which is Why Indigenous Literatures Matter. You see that? All right, let's have a quick look. I'm going to do this quick because I fool around way too much. On page 37, let's just jump right into it. It says here, in thinking about how we learn to be human, we also have to keep firmly in mind that indigenous traditions generally don't limit the category of person solely to the human. As humans, we're simply one of many peoples, depending on the tradition. There are also animal people, bird people, rock people, fish people, and so on, alongside human people. Multiplicity is inherent in kinship. Good relations require acknowledgement and, importantly, mindful accommodation of difference. All these peoples have their languages, all have customs, habits, strengths, weaknesses, and personalities. For all we know, and certainly indigenous traditions teach us that it's the case, these other peoples have their own story traditions too. Okay, we know that mainstream, they don't always acknowledge this because it's usually a self-referential comparison. But what we do know is that crows and badgers and bonobos use tools. Whales and prairie dogs have grammatically rich vocabularies. Dogs can assess the fairness of situations. Elephants grieve their dead. Octopuses problem solve and even create underwater gardens arranged in ways practical and even pleasing to octopus aesthetics. The list is as varied as the species. The only thing that seems to be unique about us humans is our capacity for willful, self-deluding destruction. We're really good at killing, maiming, and spoiling things and doing it with pleasure. And we always have been. Indigenous traditions are well stocked with warnings against human destructiveness and lessons for more respectful coexistence with our other than human relatives. In Cherokee tradition, for example, it is humanity's mindless cruelty that leads to the presence of disease and suffering in the world. As a result of widespread slaughter of our beast kin, the chiefs of the various animal and bird people cursed us with every imaginable disease and debilitating ailment. It's only due to the generosity of the plant peoples that we've managed to survive to this point, as they each provided a cure to one of the animal-inflicted maladies. It's similar to the story I told you before, but in our story we have quartz crystal, the rock peoples. Now, I'm going to pause this for a minute because I don't like just standing up here reading to students, like a lot of teachers do. But I'm going to draw your attention to this. Let's scroll down and see if I can do it fast, because you know how slow I get, and I want to go way down. Ooh, that's too fast. No, it's not. Keep going, keep going, keep going. We already did Jitkalasha. We did Mount Shasta story. Oh, we're going to keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, I like this. Here's a cute little AI illustration where I asked it to illustrate the story of all the animal peoples getting together. There's Chief Quartz Crystal, Chief Tobacco. Kind of looks like one live and let die medicine man there. But and there's Chief Bear, and they're discussing what are we going to do with these humans. They're destroying stuff. Now, and we talked about this last time. Just a reminder, though, that whenever you see these little orange thing here, that means you can actually post your replies. The ones that say, please reply, that means it's an assignment, and I want you to reply. If it says extra credit, that means you can post something and get some extra points for posting. Now, the next time we meet, I'm probably going to post the pop quiz A right under here, probably under Tiffany Midge. Where's Tiffany Midge? There she is. Isn't she cute? Look at those cute green hazel eyes. Anyway, this is my old classmate. I can mess with her. Anyway, we're going to talk about this next time we meet, and then I'll also have the quiz posted right about here. Okay, got it. Got it. All right, back to the book itself. Where was I? I was harassing you about Daniel Heath Justice's work. And I'm going to pull it up on here because I don't feel like messing around with that screen. It takes too long. This is page 38, 39, where I was talking about human destructiveness. If we go to 42 and 44, Daniel Heath Justice refers specifically to Ella Deloria, who is a Yankton, Dakota, I believe. Let me scroll. Where is it? Just scroll. You can't scroll a book. No. Let me turn the page to page 42. So, right. I'm going to start with 41. Read a little tiny bit. It says here, in those indigenous and cultural understandings that we have withstood colonial intrusions, the status of human is intimately embedded in kinship relations. It's why some version of who's your family, who are your people, continues to be so important in indigenous conversations. Such questions don't just connect you to a lineage. However that may be understood, they place you in a meaningful context with your diverse relatives and the associated relationships of obligation, where you have people who claim you and who have, hopefully, trained you well in the ways of being a good human being. In other words, kinship isn't just a thing, it's an active network of connections, a process of continual acknowledgement and enactment. To be human is to practice humanness. Now, this is where he leads us into Ella Deloria. It says Ella Cara Deloria, who wrote a book called Water Lily way back. She is an author and ethnologist. I'm on page 42 now. One of the richest novels about indigenous kinship is Water Lily by Yankton Sioux ethnologist Ella Cara Deloria. Written in the first half of the 20th century and unpublished during her lifetime, it was drawn from her widely lived and professional experience as well as extensive interviews with traditional Dakota community members, and offers a powerful account of Dakota lives and lifeways from their full experience on the edge of American settler colonialism. That's important. Keep that in mind because it's going to bite us in the butt in a minute. All right, I'm going to skip. It says here, for all of these challenges, Water Lily, the book itself, remains a finely crafted novelistic study of the ways that kinship shapes self and identity, of how the context of our relationships determine who we are and who we understand ourselves to be, and what our duties are as a result. I'm not going to read all of this, it's too much. I'm going to skip down to the bottom of 43 where it says to be human is to be a good relative, and in so doing to be respectful and dignified. This is very important. This is a very important mode of civilization than imposed by Euro-Western missionaries, militaries, teachers, and policy makers. All right, so that's what we're on. I'm going to also highlight for you where she talks about in her book Water Lily this idea of being a Dakota bride. Dakota bride. It's similar in our tribe too. I'm runaway Potawatomi. We have a tradition that says you don't just marry the girl, you marry her whole family. Or in the case of the woman, you don't just marry the groom, you marry his whole family. Let's read the quote. For Dakota bride, the major problem was not that of adjusting to her new status of wife, which was private and personal, but adjusting to her husband's family and relatives, which was a social matter. She must make this adjustment smoothly and correctly, or her kinship training at home would be in question. Dakota kinship rules, especially where relatives of marriage are concerned, are very exact and exacting. Now, we have a problem, you see, that this is butting up against what we want to call Euro-Western dominant culture society, where we natives, we have what is called extended families, and we know where we belong in these extended families. But as you know, in modern times, we have what is now called the nuclear family. That's mom, dad, and the kids living in a house. Grandma is way over there, and cousins are way over there, and that's a problem, as Ella Deloria points out. How are we doing on time? I bet you I talked too long. I'm going to mosey on over here. I might have to cut this short. 12 minutes and 18 seconds. We're going to stop it right there, and I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you later.